Hello everyone, P.U.N.K here. Hopefully you're all having a wonderful day whenever it is you are watching this video. Today, we're going to be going through some test hands for Therion P.U.N.K post Photon Hypernova in the month of March 2023. Now, the particular list that I'm using here today is the same list I had showcased a couple of weeks back. It is the Therion P.U.N.K deck profile, which I will link in the description below. I would highly recommend you check that out, as it is going to explain to you all the ratios and card choices that you will see here today. Otherwise, the structure of the video will be the same as previous test hand videos if you remember those. It's going to be showcasing 3 test hands today. We're going to work through them as best as we can, showing you the optimal combos and also some ways in which you can play around hand traps, given that we are currently in a somewhat hand trap heavy format. Remember to like and subscribe, it does help me grow as a channel and I do appreciate having you viewers join. Otherwise, I will get on with the test hands. Alright, so we're going to be going through test hand 1. Per the disclaimer, remember that these are going to be on the spot, so I apologize if I do not make the optimal play 100% of the time. Though of course, for the sake of all of you viewers, I will try my best to do as best as I can, given that I have played this deck for a little bit. So, let's look at this hand. Alright, so this is a pretty good hand. Reason why is because you have access to the Therion package already. You have Gamma as a means to stop some hand traps where, for example, Ash and Rising card would hurt, or if they for some reason decide to hit the E-Telly. So let's get on with this. First thing I'm going to do here is going to Ogre Dance, and we're going to try and search. Reason for this is because it's a good way to try and bait inexperienced players into ashing something, since we can then just Gamma or Teleport. Of course, experienced players won't always do that, so most likely you're going to resolve your Xaymin, and then we can continue from here. Whether you want to use the Telly or the Xaymin, it's up to you, though I would prefer to go with the normal Xaymin summon here, mainly because this will most likely eat up a hand trap if your opponent does have one. Imperm, Ash, Veiler. So then, in this case, since your opponent doesn't know they have the since your opponent doesn't know you have an E-Telly in hand, this can bait out a hand trap, and then you can go for the E-Telly and resolve it to get out your Shirakusai. In this case, we're going to assume that no one really hand trapped the Xaymin, because again, part of this is theorizing the optimal line here. So we're going to search a copy of Foxy Tune. Now, from here, there are 2 different options by which you can approach this. You can activate E-Telly and just summon out the Shirakusai that we need, or you can go for Foxy Tune. I'm actually going to go for the Foxy Tune here. The reason why... Oh, you can't really see the graveyard, huh? By getting the Foxy Tune effect off, you can then discard the Borea. This then forgoes the need to make Deobalantis, and that allows us to go through our normal quote-unquote P.U.N.K line where you would draw 2 cards. Whereas otherwise, if you didn't have the Borea already engraved, you would need to go through Deobalantis by using your Deer Note and whatever level 3 you summon off of the Rising Carp to go into Deobalantis and then make Sargass. We will still be making Sargass here, but that's besides the point. So Xaymin will resolve. We're going to, Foxy Tune will resolve. Apologies by the way, that board's going to be a little bit weird. We're going to summon our Shirakusai from deck. We're going to pay 600 life points to fusion summon. Make sure to keep track of your life points, since that is going to be important when you are playing P.U.N.K. And given time rules, you don't want to, lose to you forgetting that you have less life points than your opponent. We'll get Rising Carp on the field. We're going to resolve Rising Carp. Send it to grave to attempt to summon 2 from deck. Again, this is where the Gamma comes into play. You can choose to activate Gamma here to summon it from hand, summon the driver, negate the Ash, and then go into, in our case, we're playing the Adamancipator Dragite as a Spiral Trap negate. That is a good option here since we have Rising Carp and Grave. Though, again, we are assuming the best case scenario where nothing gets negated. So here we come out with Wagon plus Deer Note. We're going to resolve the Wagon effect, grab a copy of the field spell. We have lost a total of 1800 life points so far. So there is our copy of Extreme Session. We're going to activate the Extreme Session. I'm going to move these over so you can, or you can sort of see it. So I think we're good. From here, we are going to synchro those 2 off, the Deer Note and the Wagon, into a copy of Dragon Drive. So Chainlink 2, Dragon Drive, Chainlink 1, Deer Note. Reason why I'm doing this Chainlink 2 is because at this point, if your opponent had already ashed you, making Deer Note Chainlink 1 dodges the potential they have a Bell or Skullmeister. Of course, if they have a DD Crow, then they have a Crow, but this prevents you, it minimizes your chances of losing to a hand trap, basically. So from here, we resolve our Dragon Drive first, since it is Chainlink 2, to grab ourselves a copy of Spider here. Let me make this a little bit more fancy. If you want to, you can actually grab the Ghost Ogre here, since we can always E-tally out the Spider, but I'm going to assume we want to save the E-tally as follow-up for next turn. So we resolve, grab that. Deer Note will summon back a level 8. In this case, I don't think it quite matters where you summon the Rising Carp or the Foxy Toon. Or honestly, in this case, I would actually summon back the Rising Carp just because by doing so, unless you already have the Dragite on field with Gamma, if you were to target one of the Foxy Toon or Ogre Dance, in the case your opponent is playing Bystials, you would get Bystialed and that would suck. So this minimizes the chances of that. So you would summon that back, you would search Madam Spider, Field Spell would draw 1 card. So this is the benefit of sometimes opening your Therion names, as you do not have to resolve them on your own. We'll draw our card. It is a Zaymin. That is perfect. It does suck since we searched the Spider and we didn't have to, since we could E-tally it out and then keep an Ogre in hand with Zaymin for follow-up for next turn, but this is fine regardless. So Field Spell activates, or really you can do this different ways. I think for now we'll go through the Sargas line because we want to make sure we can deck thin before we actually commit more of our Punk cards. So we get Sargas on field here. We're going to resolve Sargas's effect. We are going to search a copy of Regulus here. So we grab our copy of Regulus. I'm not going to search a field spell because we want to search a field spell off of the Borea effect, because basically Sargas can search any Therion card. Borea can only search Therion spells and traps. So if you want to search a Therion monster later on, you would need to go that line instead. So let me showcase to you what I mean. We're going to activate Regulus's effects, move these down here. We're going to equip to the Regulus, Borea. So now you have an Omni Negate. You can then commit the Madam Spider. We're going to activate Regulus effect here. We're going to send a copy of, or 2 different ways we can do this. We can send the Borea, or we can send the Extreme Session. I'm actually going to activate Extreme Session now, summon the Madam Spider by banishing, let's say, Ogre Dance, so that your opponent can't use Dark the Charmer against you. I apologize if you can't see it, but you've been keeping track, hopefully. So Madam Spider will search a copy of Dangerous Gabu. Shuffle that deck, put it back here. Field Spell will draw 1. So this is looking like a great hand. There is an argument to be had that you can just send the Borea first to search your copy of the Therion Field Spell to guarantee you don't draw it off of the Extreme Session, though in this case, I want to maintain Borea in the Spell and Trap zone, since what you're going to see is we're going to search the Bullane, and then we're going to make Baron, so we don't want to send the Regulus itself, ideally, which is why we're doing it this way. Now, Regulus can use Borea's effect through the Equip effect. To send Extreme Session, you're going to search your copy of Therion Disc Coliseum. You're going to activate the Disc Coliseum. This Coliseum is going to search you a copy of Bullane. Bullane is going to equip from grave the warrior that is Deer Note. I always find it weird that, you know, all the punks are weird types like that. But yeah, summon the Bullane. With Deer Note equipped, you can then send Madam Spider and Bullane to Graveyard to summon your copy of Baron. And realistically, we should also summon the Regulus in defense. But from here, we can then set our 2 interruptions in Gabu and Eclipse. We also have a... Sorry, let me shuffle this away. We also have Ash Blossom down here in hand, and we have E-tally and Zaymin for follow-up. Now, if you are playing Lambda, we could E-tally out a body, make Lambda with the Sargas, and then have another interruption. But since I'm not really playing that particular combination of cards, I have stopped here. And honestly, this is a pretty strong end board, so theoretically we would be able to play through one hand trap, like let's say Ash on the Rising Carp. There are issues that we could run into, for example, Imperm, Veiler, so-and-so, but this was a really good hand, and in the end, if you can get it off, you can see we have multiple negates to deal with the current format, and really I think a lot of the decks will struggle to get past what we have established here. So this is test hand 1, hopefully you enjoyed this. We're going to get on with test hand number 2. Alright, so we are now going to be tackling test hand number 2, and let me get this going quickly since we are already at 10 minutes. And we have a very strange hand. I'm still going to play it through since these are hands you can in fact encounter when playing, Therion P.U.N.K. So this isn't terrible. Well, let me see what happens if you go second. Okay, so going second, you'd have a play. But going first, we still do have a play. Going first, what we would do, I just guess to mention, if we were going second, you'd probably have access to normal Therion P.U.N.K combo like we did going into the previous game, where you just, discard this, search Daemon, Daemon searches Foxy Tune discards Borea, then you can set up your Sargass, Baron plus Regulus board. In this case, going first, you can see we do have access to their one copy of Arc System, fortunately, and we can use this to kickstart the Therion engine. So we're going to use its effects. We are going to send to grave a copy of, ideally Regulus in this case, or honestly, you can send any Therion monster since the Borea will be able to search the Therion field spell, which can then search a copy of the Regulus. Though in this case, we're going to send the Alasia. It's just clicked in my mind that we can make a rank 8 if we want to. So we dump this. Your opponent most likely won't Ash that. And then we're going to commit the Borea. And then the Gamma is dead, so we can use it as fodder. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Borea's effect, send Alasia to graveyard. We're going to search a card that is the Therion field spell. We can then activate the field spell effect here. We can search a copy of Regulus, use Regulus effect, summon itself, equip the Alasia to field. We can then use the effect of Regulus, discard the Gamma that is dead since we aren't playing Lambda, to graveyard to summon the Alasia from the spell or trap zone. We can then go these two into, in this case, where I am playing a copy of the Titanic Galaxy. We can normal summon our Madam Spider, search the copy of the trap card, which is Dangerous Gabu. We can set the Gabu, and then this would be our end board. It isn't perfect, though you have to understand that Therion P.U.N.K can brick sometimes, or at least open, subpar hands. I know that is the case for most decks, but I do feel like sometimes this deck does brick a little bit more than you think. So this is one of the different ways you can end. It isn't terrible because you do have the Spell Trap Negate, Omni Negate, Effect Veiler, and Ash. The This Coliseum Protector board, it does just suck, however, that we do have to send the Regulus to graveyard to negate whatever you want. Though fortunately, we do have the Arc System to grab back the Regulus if need be. There was in fact an alternative line that we could have done here, so if I rewind I can show you that. Or we can make Baron instead of Harbinger. So when we had all of this in hand, sorry, this is a little messy, but when we had all this in hand, right, we can instead dump with the Arc System the Regulus directly, equip the Regulus with the Borea, and then you can use the, oh wait, I'm realizing you can't really do that, huh? Basically what I was trying to do, and I'll keep this in the video because it shows my mistake, but what I was trying to do was I was trying to set up Baron by sending Gamma to graveyard, grabbing this Coliseum, searching your copy of Bull Ain, and then maintaining the Regulus negate. But since we don't have a Warrior in grave, we can't do that. So the previous end board is what's going to be the only line that you can do here, unfortunately. So I'll go back to that, where again, it was Harbinger, Regulus here, you had your copy of this Coliseum there, and your copy of Gabu set. Gamma's in grave, this is on field. So yeah, it's just sometimes, the deck opens like this and there's not much you can do about it. So I will cut test hand 2 here, and we'll get on with test hand number 3. Alright, so the final test hand of the day. If you like the video so far, remember to like and subscribe. Though you have any suggestions in terms of like improve these videos for the future, since these are pretty helpful videos from what it seems, though I want to make sure that they are best catered to all of you, since I don't know if this format is perfect or not. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there. Remember to comment if you do feel that way. Otherwise, if we draw our test hand number 3, so you can see here, well, so going second, I'm gonna include this now since I didn't include that with the first test hand, but I did for the second test hand. Going second, your options are kind of limited if your opponent has a great deal of options, since of course you can only really imperm them. Though if you're going first, well actually going second, let's see. Yeah, going second, you're still very limited in options, but going first, you actually have a very neat interaction here in that you can set up your Regulus negate early on so that you don't get Nibiru'd if you are worried about that. And to do that, I'm going to activate this Colosseum here, search our copy of Regulus. We can then use the effect of our Gyro system to send to grave itself and search a copy of... Really, I think Borea is probably the best option, since if you maintain Regulus on field, then you can use Borea's effect through Regulus on subsequent turns. So we're going to send Borea here, use the Regulus to equip the Borea, and then now we have essentially free reign to do our P.U.N.K combo. So we're going to use Ogre Dance, of course, discard the Ogre Dance, search a copy of Xaymin. Xaymin will search Foxy Tune. Foxy Tune can then discard itself. We can discard either the Imperm or the Gabu here. I'm going to choose the Imperm since Gabu has additional benefit. Xaymin will, or sorry, Foxy Tune will summon out a copy of the, wherever he is, our favorite, Yu-Gi-Oh! Punk Share Kusai. We're going to pay 600, using these 2 monsters into a copy of Rising Carp. We can then use Rising Carp's effect, send itself to summon from deck. And if your opponent ashes, you have the Regulus. Though it would suck for them to have Ash plus Nibiru, though not too much we can do about that. So we'll summon out Wagon, and we'll summon out a copy of Deer Note. Wagon can pay 600 to search your copy of Extreme Session. And now you have a choice here. You can keep Therion Field Spell up in the case that you feel it is important to have the Battle Protection effect. I think that is a good enough reason to keep it on field. Though if you want to risk the 1 draw, you can go for the Extreme Session. I say only 1 draw because we drew the Gabu, so we can't use the Madam Spider to trigger the second draw effect during our turn, since all we have left is the Dragon Drive as a life point cost. But in the case you do want to risk the draw, you can just activate it. In this case, I'm not going to activate it because I feel like we can establish a strong enough board already. Basically, again, we still have Regulus, assuming the best case scenario where your opponent does not hand trap you and force you to Regulus away for whatever reason. So we'll send those 2. We'll synchro summon a copy of Dragon Drive. This will then allow us to summon back the Share Kusai Chain Link number 1, again to dodge a potential Bell, or let's say Skullmeister, as I had said in the first test hand. And then Dragon Drive, since Dragon Drive Chain Link 2, you should search first and then summon the Share Kusai, though I'm getting a little excited since this deck is cool. We're going to search a copy of, where is it? Ghost Ogre here to secure us another interruption. So in this test hand, or as a result of this test hand, we essentially have the Share Kusai set up to quick synchro with Dragon Drive or Regulus into Amazing Dragon. We can then have, we do have Ghost Ogre to, you know, pop whatever cards your opponent tries to activate. Let's say Kashtira Birth, a Flunder the Map field spell. We have the Dangerous Gabu set. we have Protection, Viatis Coliseum in case your opponent tries to run over the Shirakusai before the end phase, or before the end of the turn during their battle phase, and then we have Regulus. There's a slightly different way in which you can do this combo. If you want to end on Draco Berserker or Dragite, in my case, you can always single summon the Dragite instead, or go your search of Snow Rabbit, and then you would have a spell Trap Negate while still having access to the Gabu, plus Regulus, plus the Shirakusai. You give up Ghost Ogre, but there is some merit to that, since potentially the spell Trap Negate might be better in certain matchups, for example Labyrinth, or honestly Branded also benefits, or like you benefit against Branded with Dragite since you can start to negate a lot of their spells versus Ghost Ogre, which doesn't really hit them. But really, your end board here, going first, just depends on what you're playing against, unless of course you are going in blind, in which case I feel like Dragite might be stronger since, again, Branded is one of the best decks, and being able to negate spells is more important than being able to Ghost Ogre a Birth, which Dragite also still handles. So yeah, very interesting video to say the least. I just say that because unlike my previous test hand videos, it seems like I was very streamlined in a lot of these combos. Again, hopefully you enjoyed the way this video was structured. If you don't, I would completely welcome any of you to provide me advice. These test hand videos, they're not perfect, I admit. You know, I'm just really working through combos on a sort of raw basis, just going through test hands, not knowing what they are, going through my raw thoughts and giving them to you so that you understand my thought process rather than having something scripted. So hopefully that's nice enough for you to, again, like and subscribe. Otherwise, thank you for watching. This was a test hand video for Therion P.U.N.K, March 2023, post Photon Hypernova. If you didn't check out the deck profile that this list is associated with, please do that. It is in the comments below. Otherwise, I'm going to say it again. Please remember to like and subscribe. I do appreciate it. And otherwise, I will end the video.